Hello, folks. Hello, everybody, whoever eventually joins. I'll just close that door too. Hopefully, you can hear me okay. What we on? We're on Sunday the 16th of March today. I'm going live, and I thought I'd jump on here and do a quick Q&A session for anybody who wanted to ask any questions about Reiki. I haven't announced this, so people might come on, they might not. If you missed the live and you do have any questions, then do please comment in the comment section of the video, and I'll answer them as best as I can in another video. But yeah, so yesterday and the day before, Friday and Saturday, I was teaching a Reiki Master teacher course here in Darlington to two students, and it was lovely to join them on their journey to the end of, well, it's not really the end of the path, it's more the beginning of the path, really. And I think a lot of people think maybe as soon as you've learned Reiki Master teacher, then that's it, you don't go any further. But that's so far from the truth, really. There is so much more to learn and to take in. I'm not sure if this light is too bright, but it's a little bit glary, but hey ho, it's that's a little bit better on the screen. So today I wanted to share a few resources with you, a few books, book recommendations to begin with, just while we're waiting for people to jump on the live that want to join in, if any, but we'll see. But it gives me just a chance to talk about Reiki, and something I really, really love and I'm really passionate about, because it helped me on my journey. It's helped so many people before me, and will continue to do so, to transform people's lives just by the very way of Reiki, the foundations, the principles of Reiki. Even if people aren't interested in wanting to heal and do hands-on healing, learn about distance healing, just upholding the principles or the precepts of Reiki, which we'll discuss a little bit later on this live. But to begin with, there's a lot of Reiki Master teachers out there that like to write their own manuals. And it was something I was toying with. I was like, do I write a manual? It takes a lot of work to put a manual together. And my Reiki master who taught me, he used to write his own manuals. But a lot of it was from like taken bits of other resources and what have you. So in the end, he decided to use a book by Penelope Quest called the Reiki Manual, which is basically it's a training guide for students and for Reiki masters to use for when they're teaching. And he provides a copy with the courses when he teaches. So I thought, you know what, I'll just do that. It's so much easier. It really is so much easier. And the information is it's so right and it's so concise. And the good thing about the Penelope Quest books as well is that they're there with a factual base, but they also have, like, obviously the methodical base and why we do it, and lots of other explanations within the books as you go through it. But it also has that spiritual side to it as well. So it's a really, really good sort of like with grounded information. But also, you know, the spiritual information as well, that a lot of people go to learn Reiki for, is to discover more about themselves and go onto this spiritual path of discovery and unveiling. So the Reiki manual is this one. So if you've never seen it before, that's the one. But I would highly recommend that one if you're a Reiki teacher, or even if you're just interested in Reiki, then, and you want to know more about Reiki, about what it is. The one thing I would say about this book, because it's a training guide, it is quite intense. It's a bit more intensive than the other book, which I'm going to mention next, which is also by Penelope Quest. But the training guide itself, it goes through from level one. So talks about obviously the history, the precepts, the foundations of Reiki, Mikao Usui, the stories of Mikao Usui when he went up Mount Kuriyama, the enlightenment that he went through, the symbols that he was shown, and the whole journey of what Mikao Usui went through on that journey of enlightenment and discovering this wonderful energy that we all have within us, and the journey to being able to tap into that energy that we all have within us on a little bit deeper level. But that is obviously, so that is the Reiki Manual by Penelope Quest. So if you want to learn it, I would recommend this book because it will give you every step of the way. Obviously, if you're local to me, I only teach in person, by the way. So if you want to learn Reiki, then I'm in the UK, in Darlington, in County Durham, in the northeast of England. But obviously, if you want to learn it, do try and find a teacher, a master teacher that is local to you, where you can actually go and have in-person training rather than online training. There's a lot of downsides to online training, and a lot of affiliations and insurance companies won't give you insurance if you've been online attuned and online trained. It's part of the, especially in the UK, it's part of the national occupational standards is to have in-person attunement rather than online attunement, and that's how you can get accreditation and all that sort of stuff that helps you to become more of a professional practitioner. So the Reiki Manual by Penelope Quest is one book that I would highly recommend, especially if you want to learn it and you want to go a little bit deeper with Reiki. The next book, which is again by Penelope Quest, which is another really great book, and this is a book that I would recommend if you're wanting to learn it, but you're just sort of putting your toe in the water with regards to Reiki, then I would definitely recommend this one. And this one is called Reiki for Life, and it's a complete guide to Reiki practice for levels 1, 2, and 3. And it's a little bit easier going. It's a little bit lighter going, but it really is a must. And for anyone that wants to know a little bit about Reiki, that wants to just like I say, dip their toe in the water with regards to Reiki. It's got so much information in there with regards to, again, the history, the foundations, the pillars, the precepts, and using Reiki and how we can use Reiki. And it goes into each level again. But it's a little bit easier to read. The Reiki Manual, the text is a little bit smaller because it's more, like I say, it's more concise. It's more like a training manual, where this is a little bit easier going to read, but it's a really, really good book. It really is. And it's the first book that I got when I started learning Reiki, and wanted to know a little bit more about Reiki. And I'd read this before I even went on to Reiki 1, my first course. This is a book that I went through and I read from cover to cover, and I was just absolutely amazed with the information that was in there, and the stuff that you can learn just from that book. You can probably get hardback, you can probably get ebooks as well if you're into that sort of thing, but personally I would rather have a book that you can kind of touch and hold. It makes such a big difference. Another book that I got quite a while ago, and this is a book by Sarah Parker Thomas. I'm not sure. I think she's American. I'm not sure, but I'm sure she's American. But we did follow each other on Instagram for a while, and I haven't seen anything from her for quite some time. But I know she was writing another book and releasing it and putting that out there. I'm not sure how that's doing. I'm not even sure what it was called. But the book that I got in question was this one. It's called Spiritual Reiki, and like I say, by Sarah Parker Thomas, and it's channel your intuitive abilities for energy healing. And this one obviously goes more into the spiritual aspect of Reiki and using Reiki for different things, for more out there things. So using Reiki for like past lives and Akashic records and things like that, things of that nature. Reiki for helping you sleep, and various hand positions you can use, and a lot of it's at the back of the book. So Reiki to clear out stale, stuck and stagnant energy. So different techniques of how you can do that. Reiki for lucid dreaming. So and it gets you a bit concerned and a bit worried with lucid dreaming, then again, there's bits in that. Accessing hidden memories with Reiki as well. That's another really good thing, because a lot of us, we want to know more about ourselves. We want to go a little bit deeper within ourselves, and sometimes those dreams that we have, they hold a lot of information. Chanting to strengthen your connection to Reiki. The other thing that a lot of people don't discuss, and even I made a video about this, I think probably last year at some point. I talked about the Reiki mantras, and somebody commented saying, well, there is no mantras in Reiki. That, well, there is, because it's the symbols, it's the Reiki symbols. We use them as mantras. So, Chokure, Seihiki, Hanshaze Shonen, and obviously the master symbol mantra as well. But meditating and using the mantras of the I'm going to say chakras there, of the symbols, and meditating on them, and what they mean to you. It will be individual to whoever sits with them and uses the name as a mantra and does that. But they really do hold a profound energy, and you get a lot of sort of intuitive wisdom from them as well, just by doing that and using those mantras as well. It's a bit like it's almost uh, like transcendental meditation, where you're repeating the mantra over and over again in your mind. It's using that, and using that mantra just helps to keep your mind clear, focused on that symbol that you're chanting about. So chanting to strengthen your connection to Reiki and yoga, connecting to higher consciousness, which is what a lot of people are into. But Reiki itself is higher consciousness. It's opening your energy up to something more. Kundalini breathing and Reiki, connecting with your ancestors through Reiki. So it's got loads, and this book is packed with loads and loads of stuff, and loads of stuff about Sarah Parker Thomas as well. Again, another great book that I would highly recommend anyone who is maybe you're attuned to. I would say this is probably for someone attuned to Reiki, maybe at Reiki level 1, Reiki level 2, something like that, that knows what Reiki is and how to use it, and knows kind of like the basics of it. But this helps you kind of like open your mind a little bit to other ways you can use Reiki in everyday life. So Spiritual Reiki, a really, really good book. The next book that I want to mention as a recommendation as well is by a doctor called David Hamilton, and he's Scottish, and he wrote this book called Why Woo Woo Works. And again, it's just another fascinating book. It really, really is. And it's about the surprising science behind meditation, Reiki, crystals, and other alternative practices. So, and he goes into all of that into chapter about the different practices, and how and why and how they work. So obviously, because he's a doctor and he's got the doctorate behind him, and he says himself, follow him on Facebook, he says himself that he's a numbers guy, he's a bit of a numbers geek, and so he likes information, he likes data, he likes to work, so then he can like sort of pinpoint why this is working, why it's having this effect. And he goes into a lot of that in this book, Why Woo Woo Works. So really have a look for that. If you can look out for it, if you're really interested in alternative practices such as meditation, Reiki, crystals, and other healing practices as well, then look for that book, because there's some really, really great, concise information in that. The title's interesting, woo woo, it might be something that people might think, oh God, it's one of them books, but really, if you're into healing, if you're into meditation, if you're into Reiki, if you're into crystals, if you're into spirituality as well, then get that book. And he did that. Like I say, I do follow him on Facebook, and he did a little video, a little reel, probably last year sometime, about a bit of evidence really, for the power of Reiki. And he was talking about how in a hospital there was 3 people, and they all had to have knee replacement surgery. Obviously, it's quite invasive surgery, and 2 of the people received Reiki before the knee replacement and 3 weeks after the knee replacement. And there's one person that didn't receive any Reiki, and the two people that did receive the Reiki, they had less pain and they healed quicker than the person that didn't have Reiki. So it just proves and shows the effectiveness and power of Reiki. So if you want more examples of that, then this is the book to get, Why Woo Woo Works, by David R. Hamilton. Like I say, he's a doctor, so he's a science guy. So he looks for all that stuff and why it works, and why it is so effective, and also why so many people are now stepping onto more of a path of, inner peace and meditation, and wanting to find the depth within themselves of why this stuff really, really works. And I think, we're just scratching the surface really with regards to a lot of alternative practices, because it's the power of the mind is just something that we just can't, I just don't think we can comprehend really. And it just goes to show, I mean, even with some of my clients that I've worked with last year, that had a lot of pain. There was one client in particular that she had a really, really, she had a nasty fall, and she damaged a chest and a shoulder quite badly, and she had a lot of nerve pain that was kind of like stuck in the shoulder, and she said it was like toothache. It just wouldn't go. She didn't know how to shift it. So I did, initially for a first session, I did some shoulder massage with her just to see if that would help. And then I did a session of Reiki afterwards, and she felt it did help. And then the next time she came, a couple of weeks later, I just focused solely on the shoulder and the pain in the shoulder. And basically, I was so focused on the shoulder, and she was telling me where this pain was. So I stayed where the pain was, and in my mind I was visualizing this pain in the shoulder, and I was imagining it going down the arm, and I was with my mind, I was pushing this pain down the arm towards the elbow. And she said, "Oh, the pain's moving." I said, "All right, okay." I said, "Well, where's it moving to?" She said, "Oh, it's near the elbow now." And I was like, "All right, okay." I said, "Well, that's interesting, because I'm trying to push the pain towards the elbow with my mind." She was like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." So I said, just keep me posted and let me know what's happening and where it's going. So I kept one hand on the shoulder, the other hand I moved towards the elbow where the pain was moving to. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and push this pain out of the ends of the fingertips. And I push it out the end of the small finger, the little finger. I'm going to push the pain down the side of the hand and out of the end of the small finger. So I just imagined it. I was pushing it with my mind to move down the arm from the elbow to the end of the small finger. And then she said, "Are you trying to move it again?" I said, "Oh, well, why?" She said, "Oh, well, just it's gone past the elbow now. It's sort of in the middle of my forearm." I was like, "Right." I said, "Well, that's interesting, because I am actually trying to push it." And I said, "I'm trying to push it down into your little finger, and I want to push it out of your little finger, this pain." She's like, "Right, okay." She said, "Well, keep doing what you're doing, because this is really, really," she was as fascinated as what I was. I've never done anything like that before. So I was pushing this pain and pushing this pain, and then she felt it in her little finger. She said, "It's there now. It's in the little finger." She said, "Keep going, get rid of it, move it," because the shoulder, by this point, there was no pain in the shoulder. It was all gone down into the hand, and this was just like, it was fascinating for me to do, and for her to experience. And then it went out of the little. She said, "It's gone." She said, "The pain's gone." I was like, "Right, great." I said, "Okay, so we've dealt with that." So I cut the cord of whatever the pain was. I severed it so it wouldn't get back in. And then she'd actually said, the next time she came for a session, she said, "Oh," she said, "I don't know what you did," but she said after that session, she said she went home and she was in absolute agony for 2 days, and then everything, because obviously she'd nasty fall, and she felt the whole body was just out of position, and just totally shocked. And she said, and after that pain had gone in her hand for a couple of days after that, like her chest and her shoulders, she was in agony. She couldn't move, she couldn't bend. And all of a sudden, everything just righted itself. And I was like, wow. And she said, I've had no bother since. Like, there. So I was like, well, that's amazing. That just proves how amazing Reiki is, and also the power of our mind, the power of our will. We can will ourselves to be healthy. We can will ourselves. The power of the mind, we can do so much that nobody really comprehends or thinks about or talks about. They just think it's just the way it is, kind of thing. But we are so much more powerful than we realize. So yeah, so we've got 3 people watching so far. I'm not sure who's here, but say hello. Don't be shy. And I'm just doing I'm going to do like a Q&A session. So if anyone's got any questions about Reiki or anything to do with the channel or anything that I do, just ask any questions the way that you want to. But at the minute, I'm just going over some books. To do with Reiki, because I've just finished a Reiki course of Friday and Saturday. I was teaching the Reiki Master Teacher course to 2 students, and it was a really, really wonderful couple of days with a lot of information. There's been so much prepping and planning to put this course together, but it was really, really lovely. But I just wanted to talk about a few book recommendations, and these are always the book recommendations that I take to the courses. So every course I go to and every course that I teach, I take these books with us. So that then people can look at the other books that are available to read, to give them some ideas. And thanks for the love heart, whoever that was. Just keep tapping the love heart, and it'll bring people in. Keep giving me some love. It'll help to bring more people in and get this live seen, get this channel seen. And the more lives that I do, the more times I interact with you guys. That are subscribers. Oh, hello, Anita. Thanks for giving me the love. Give me some more. I'm always open for some love, and give me some love hearts. It all helps with the algorithm, and it all helps get this video seen. Thank you again. Yeah. So that was it really. So that's what I've been doing the last sort of few days, is doing that. So the last book recommendation I want to talk about, and this is kind of like this for me really changed my way of thinking with regards to Reiki. It really did. And this is a book by Franz Steiner, and this is called The Way of Reiki. And it really opened my concepts to everything with regards to Reiki, opened my mind. It's much more to do with the deep esoteric wisdom, the philosophy of Reiki, where Reiki originated from, how Mikao Usui went on his different journeys. Obviously, there's not a lot known about Mikao Usui. Let's just put that in there first. There's not a lot known. But this book kind of like points the direction and the way of the teachings of what masters in Japan feel that the calling and the way that he was going through within his teachings. And when you go deeper within the teachings and what this book explains to do with the precepts and the Reiki principles, it really shows the depth and wisdom and knowledge that Mikao Usui had, and that he'd gained, from seeking. He wanted to seek ways of being able to heal himself and heal others, and how Jesus healed and how the Buddha healed, and all these other avatars in history that were able to heal themselves or have the healing touch. And he wanted to know more about that, and that's where the journey started for him. So he looked into ancient texts, Sanskrit texts, and even looked into ancient China, and all this book covers so much of that, especially at the back of the book. But the main portion of this book is all about pretty much the Reiki principles, what the principle means, why they're written in that format, why they're written in that way. So if you're not sure of what the Reiki principles are, if you're new to Reiki or not sure about Reiki, then we've got, just for today. Every line starts with a just for today, but just for today, we let go of anger. Just for today, let go of worry. Just for today, be grateful for your many blessings. Just for today, live your life honestly or with authenticity, and then live your life. And then just for today, be kind to all life and be compassionate to all. There's different ways you can explain it, because obviously Japanese is quite hard to translate into English. But within the teachings and within the principles, it's basically telling us to let go of anger and worry. And we're not just talking about those two emotions, we're not just talking about those two things, but when we let go of anger, We let go of frustration, we let go of hate, we let go of fear, and worry. Worry is fear. So we're letting go of a lot of these um, lower vibrational emotions that keep people sort of suppressed a little bit. And when we start to let go of them, then our energy shifts, our energy changes. Through practice, through discipline, through following those principles and living the Reiki way, and then you can become more grateful. You can become more grateful with who you are and where you are in life and what you have in life. And probably having a more simplistic approach to life as well, which makes you a lot happier. You're not constantly seeking and worrying and wanting this and needing that to bring you peace and happiness, because the happiness is already there within you. You just need to find it. And for a lot of people that might sound a little bit, it might sound a little bit corny, or how can I find that? How can I be happy? But really, it's the way of Reiki is always, it's always pointing back to us, and that is what a spiritual journey is doing. It's pointing us back to us. It's pointing us back to living our authentic way, living with gratitude, letting go of low vibrational emotions and frequencies, and being in a higher vibrational frequency, and then you can become compassionate and loving to all. And that is what Reiki is teaching us. And once you're in those higher vibrations, you are giving compassion and showing compassion, and you're giving yourself love, you're giving love to others. Then you're at the stage that you can start giving healing to others, because you've worked on your own vibration, you've worked on your own frequency, and Reiki is frequency healing, it's bioresonance healing. It's when you bring two souls together, two people together, two beings together, and you want to facilitate healing for them, then with years of practice, with the time that you spend on yourself for your self-healing practice, working on that, on those principles, those core principles, just letting go of the worry and the anger and the frustration and the grief and all those lower vibrational frequencies, and living more harmoniously in the heart, then your frequency shifts, and then you're able to give and facilitate the healing to others. And that is basically the teachings of Reiki. That's what it's showing us, but it always comes back to us. And that's something that I talk about quite a lot on this channel, is how your spiritual journey, I talk about it as a spiral, and it's always going round in circles, and as your frequency shifts, it's going up in circles. It's moving, and the chakras, chakra means wheel. So as we look at the scale of consciousness, as it's colored from red, so root chakra, all the way up to the purple. And when you follow the scale of consciousness, as it moves up, it's circling round, it's circling round. So each time you circle round, you level up a little bit. You do a little bit of that internal healing, and the higher and higher you go in your vibration, that there's more healing that comes into your life, and then also the people's lives that are around you. And that's how we facilitate healing. That's how we hold that space for people. That's how we are able to be compassionate, and live in that great bright light that we find that Reiki is always showing us. It's always guiding us to that great bright light that is within each and every one of us. And it's the shit that goes on in life. It's the necessity. It's the consumerism. It's the social media. It's the TV. It's the media. It's the worry. It's the fear. It's the stuff that gets pounded at us day in and day out, that puts our vibration back down. So within our practice, it's our practice to then let go of that and step away from that. So then we can work on ourselves. We can help our vibration by, stepping away from that, getting outdoors, going into nature, meditating on the Reiki precepts, or the Reiki symbols and the mantras within the symbols, and harnessing that power, coming back to balance, coming back to yourself, coming back to harmony within you. That is what Reiki is teaching us, and that is what is covered quite a lot in this book. So as it says there, the inner teachings of Mikao Usui. So if you really want to deepen, if you practice Reiki and you are doing Reiki and you're trained on some level 2 Reiki, then, and you want to deepen your wisdom, you want to deepen your knowledge with regards to Reiki, then one, subscribe to this channel, and two, buy that book. And also head over to Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook and follow Franz Steiner. So that's Franz, Stiene. Hello, Yvonne. Lovely to see you. I hope you're well. Follow Franz Steiner because obviously he's the author of the book, and he posts regularly a lot of information about Reiki and about how we can find that great bright light within us. And it's all based on the Reiki principles and working on the principle that basically we are energy in form. We are already that great bright light. We just need to find it. We need to let go of the distractions of the world that is around us, which, in the modern day world, that's easier said than done. I know. Yeah, I absolutely know that, especially when you run a business and a lot of it is based around social media and making content and content creation and posting and commenting and sharing and doing all the things that you try to do to get seen, to get heard, to get noticed. But then you also need to have time where you can just switch off and just stop from that. And that's after the courses over the last 2 days. That's what I did last night. I really just kind of like I just shut down. I just relaxed. I just watched a bit of TV, watched some comedy, and then kept dozing off every now and again. And this morning, because obviously when you're teaching you don't really walk around that much. I love Franz too, Yvonne. I really do. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. You have as well. You've grown as a practitioner as well, and that is the beautiful way and the beautiful journey of Reiki is we all grow and we all develop, and Reiki is constantly teaching us, constantly evolving us onto the path that we need to walk, onto the way that we need to walk. And every journey is individual. Every journey is unique for each and every one of us, but it's a beautiful journey. It really is. It's a wonderful, wonderful healing journey, where we discover so much more about ourselves and about, sometimes it's about the way we react, the way we speak to people, the way people speak to us. It's not only distance. The distant Reiki and in-person Reiki, they're just the same. They're exactly the same. They're just as powerful. And there is no difference. So it's not only Reiki. I used to do distance Reiki, and that's how my business was built around mainly. But now I do a lot more in-person Reiki. But it's taught me over the years as well. Also, for those that have just joined the chat, if you've got any questions about Reiki or anything to do with the channel or what I do, then do feel free to ask any questions. You feel free to. Well, what was I saying? Yeah, so I used to only do the distance Reiki, and then predominantly now it's in-person Reiki. But it's taught me so much. It's taught me how different it is for me as a practitioner to use and work with that energy. And I've talked about this quite a few times on this channel as well. But for me, a distance Reiki is very much of more of an intuitive, almost psychic connection to the client, whereas in-person Reiki for me is more of an empathic connection to the client. So I sometimes feel what they're feeling, what they're going through, whereas the distance Reiki, it can really, really vary. And every session is different as well. It doesn't mean that every session I'm going to see, feel, or experience something. It really is different, and it varies all the time. It really does. And sometimes it can be weeks before I sense or feel or see anything. But that's not what Reiki is about. We're not there to see, sense, and feel things. We're there to just hold the space and facilitate the healing, facilitate that time for the client, for that person, for that soul to just rest, to just relax, and allow the Reiki to do what it needs to do. And you know, the other thing sometimes people forget is they're not controlling the Reiki. We don't control the Reiki. It just flows through us. We are the Reiki. It just flows out of us. And that's how it happens. And we have no way of controlling it. It just goes to where it needs to. So just trust it and just allow it to do what it needs to do. And that really is kind of like a metaphor for nature. You know, it's a metaphor for life in a way. To just allow nature to do what it needs to do, um, and try not to change it, try not to force it. I think the more we try to force nature, we start messing with the force we really, really don't understand. The more we try to want to stop nature, you know, Mother Nature is so powerful and can be so destructive if we try and stop Mother Nature. So we shouldn't. We need to let nature do what it needs to do, because really we are the visitors here. We are the people that are here. Mother Nature was here long before us, but every part of Mother Nature and every part of the earth and every part of us, you know, we're also intrinsically connected. So the more we damage nature, the more we damage ourselves, and the more we damage ourselves, the more we damage nature. It again, with it's a bit like in Reiki. It's a bioresonance connection. It's a powerful connection. It's a shamanic connection. You know, if you look into shamanism, the connection to nature is so profound and so deep. And yeah, if we start to mess with it, you know, it will do a lot of damage to us. But you know, if we mess about with it, then frankly we kind of like deserve it, really. You know, and that's why I don't really. I hate seeing, you know, when you see all these trails in the sky, you know, and people still think that the contrails from the planes and whatever, but it's all this geoengineering stuff, and they're trying to control the climate. You know, the climate controls itself. The climate will do what it needs to. The only reason why they want to control it is because they're scared that everyone's going to die. But it's part of evolution. It's part of nature, and that is again, that is the force of nature, and it's the force of God, of the universe, that's running behind it. That is the controlling factor to all of that. So yeah, and you know, God, soul, spirit, the universe, the divine, whatever you want to call it, it flows through every aspect of everything. You know, your life, your very being, you know, how your being functions, you know, just thinking about like, uh, you know, even like the beating of the heart, you know, we don't even have to think about it. The beating of the heart, it's controlled by your autonomic nervous system, you know, but then how does that get controlled? You know, it's obviously it's controlled from the brain, but then what's beyond that? What's beyond the brain? You know, there's so many questions we can ask, um, but it gets to a point where we just need to trust and know, um, that everything's happening for the right reasons, and that's part of letting go. That's part of trusting in yourself, trusting in this force, this guiding force that flows through everyone and everything. You know, like the talk about in Star Wars, the Force. You know, this chi, it's this prana, it's this universal energy that flows through every single one of us, and that is what Reiki is. You know, Tai Chi, you know, that is what they're using in that. You know, chi or ki, this energy that many people talk about. You know, what actually is it? What could it be? You know, if you've got any thoughts, pop them in the comment section. But for me, chi and ki and prana, it's everything. It's your blood, it's your breath, it's your muscles, it's your food, it's your water, it's your heart, it's your brain. Everything is an aspect of chi. You know, it's this force, it's this life force, it's this energy, and everything that happens within life, even your thoughts and your emotions, have an aspect of chi, because that affects your vibration. So if you're constantly living in fear and worry, like we talked about earlier within the precepts, then that's affecting your vibration, which is affecting your ki or your chi or your prana. It's affecting every aspect of life, every aspect of you, every aspect of your vibration. And whatever vibration you're at is the vibration that you attract. So that again is the powerful force that is chi, that is nature, that is the divine, that is God. Yeah. Yvonne says, I met a girl at a concert and we got chatting. She was stage 4 lung cancer and I offered to send her Reiki. She said she could feel my energy as we chatted. As you said before, we are Reiki. Absolutely. Absolutely. We are already it. And, this constant seeking. And obviously, we need to learn about Reiki. We need to learn about the principles, because if we don't learn about it, then we're not going to know. We're not going to know about this wisdom. We're not going to know about this esoteric knowledge that Mika Asui went on a journey for to discover more about. And I made a video this morning that I'm going to put up on my socials. I put it over on Instagram. By the way, all my socials and links are always linked below in the descriptions box on all of my videos. So you can get in touch there to book any healing. Or you can just follow me at my socials as well if you like, and give me a follow on the pages. Do feel free to do that. Where was I? What was I talking about? I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so we are Reiki. We are already Reiki. We can often look so externally and try to rationalize and think about it so much that we start to almost like bring in a sense of worry, because we're like, well, where is it? Why am I not experiencing this? Why am I not feeling that? Why are they seeing that but I can't see that? Why are they feeling that but I don't feel that? I only feel this. So you do feel something, you do get a connection to something, but really, if we're overthinking it, if we're over analyzing it, it's a bit like when I chatted to Franz Steiner on this channel a while back. He used this very analogy. So he was like, so when you're doing a Reiki session, and like, think of it as like you're flicking through a book and all the pages and you're just reading through, but there's a little bit of the book that's just like, oh, and it takes your interest, and you get sucked into that. So you get sucked into the oh, well, I'm seeing this purple color, what could that mean? And you start going down this track of trying to work out, well, what does purple mean? Why am I seeing a cat? What's the cat mean? The cat sat on a roof, and the roof just caved in. What does that mean? All the while, you've taken yourself out of the present moment, because you're too busy wondering what all that stuff means that is conjuring up in the mind, rather than focusing on the present moment. And it's the present moment is where we find the gratitude. It's the present moment that we have no worry. It's the present moment that we have no anger, because there's nothing to be worried or angered about in that space, in that time. So learning to just let go of that, learning to release, learning to just be at peace with it, and just trust and have faith, and just know that you are Reiki already. You are already an aspect of that. Sometimes all we need is someone to help, to guide us, to show us back to that state of being, that way of being, the way of Reiki. That's sometimes the process that we need. And it's a beautiful process. It really is. And when I learned Reiki 1, um, was for me it was very much about, I was in that stage where I wanted to see more, I wanted to experience more, because after a couple of Reiki sessions, I was seeing faces, and I was seeing colors, and I was having all these wonderful experiences, and then questioning what it all means, and like, what does it all mean? And I really, then I had to go on this journey of trying to understand what it all was, and why it all was, and what it all meant. And um, but again, sometimes that takes us away from the actual essence and the beauty of the healing session that we've just experienced, the Reiki session that we've just experienced. So yeah, it can be quite easy to be swept away. But that is where Reiki actually teaches us within our training to come back to that place, to come back to that place within that present moment, that great bright light that is within each and every one of us, and it's there. It's there. It really is. Some really great ways of trying to work with that and understand that and feel that is basically just focusing on your breath. Really going back to basics, like in meditation, because Reiki really is at the fundamental basics of it. It is a meditation practice. You're meditating to balance and harmonize yourself to then be able to facilitate healing for others. So if you come back to your breath and focus on where you're breathing, focus on breathing lower down into your lower dantian, or into your sacral chakra, or your hara, whatever terminology you want to give it, but breathing low down into your body really helps to sort of ground you, stabilize you. It really helps to keep you in that nice place of just comfort, just oneness, present moment, peace. And then we have to learn, well, how do I keep this every day? How do I hold on to that? And you're never going to be able to hold on to it forever. But as long as you can come back and re-find it, and not be swept away and go down the various pathways of fear, anger, worry, all of those lower vibrational frequencies that we all go through at some point, as long as we can come back to our true self, come back to our true state of being, which is peace. It is oneness. It's the present moment. There is nothing more. Yeah. Well done, Yvonne. Yeah. So Yvonne's just said, I tell people to concentrate on their breathing if their mind wanders. Yeah. It really is the basics of meditation, but it's so powerful. It's the first thing. It's the one thing. And I often say to people when I'm teaching meditation or coaching meditation, I often say to them, like, how many times of the day are you actually aware of your breath? And if we answer that honestly, if we're constantly busy, if we're constantly in the mind, if we're constantly stressed out, if we're constantly wondering what's going on, why is that happening, worrying about tomorrow, worrying about next week, being angry about someone that bumped into you or whatever, or you made you spill your coffee or whatever it might be, just the random crap that happens each and every day. If we're constantly in that state, then it makes it harder to come back. So focusing on that one point, the breath. Once you start focusing on that one point, you can then transfer that awareness to other points within the body. So after a while, what can happen is, as you continue following your breathing, you're following your breath. What can happen then is you get easily distracted because you're used to just following your breath. So then you have to change it up a little bit. Then you have to make it a little bit more of a bit of a game, really, and just play with it, and then send your awareness somewhere else. Instead of in your breath, send your awareness down into your feet, or try to be aware of each individual toe with your own awareness. And sometimes when you send your awareness into your feet, you might feel a gentle tingling. Focus on the tingling. What do you feel within that tingling? And imagine within that tingling that tingling is expanding out of your feet and into the ground, and grounding your energy, grounding you. Imagine that tingling moving up into your ankles. Follow that awareness, and gradually over time, you start using that to your own advantage, working with the breath, working with your awareness, working with that energy that is permeating through every cell of your being. And that is where we can really kind of like do a lot of deep inner healing, a lot of releasing trauma and emotions and pain, really working on that inner energy of so much that we hold on to that is just, a lot of the time, it's just crap. It really is. It's stuff that we really don't need to hold on to. But so many people do, because it gives them the identity of suffering. It gives them the identity of well, I'm this and I'm that, and this has happened to me, and this is what's happened in my life, but you know it's just like it just goes on and on, and that way of suffering becomes latched onto their ego then, and it becomes an egoic way of being, because the ego then makes you think more and more about that stuff, and keeps you trapped in that way of being, in that place within the mind. So again, the way of Reiki and the teachings of Reiki is stepping away from the ego, stepping away from all of that stuff. And we have to have ego as well. There's a lot of spiritual people and spiritual channels that talk about, you know, getting rid of the ego. You'll never get rid of the ego, but what you will do is you'll be able to balance the ego. And that's what it's all about. It's all about balance. It's not about getting rid of anything. It's not about removing anything. You never remove any part of yourself. You just learn to accept and balance. Going back again to like the power of the mind. That is the one factor that is helping us to remain balanced, helping us to remain focused, and not being swept away with, well, what's this, what's that, when's that going to happen, or whoever said that, they're wrong, they're right. Just the stuff we hold on to is just rubbish. It really is. Sometimes it's just absolute crap, and we just need to learn to let go. And it's only until we start to let go and realize that we are letting go that we then start to feel the benefits. We then start to feel the benefits of releasing, of letting go, of not holding on to that tension. And when you really start to let go of that tension, your energy and your thoughts and your being, your physical body, everything starts to flow easier. You start to heal easier. You become more balanced easier. You become more attuned to that way of being, of just being focused and harmonized and in tune with who and what you really are. And you are not the physical body. Generational teachings as well can hold us back. Absolutely. Ancestral and generational teaching is probably one of the biggest things, because that the generational teaching is what gives us that identity. It makes us say, well, you are this, and you have to be able to do that too. You have to make this much money, and you have to follow on from your father's footsteps, and you have to work in this field of work, or you have to do that, or else you'll be shamed by the family, or this, that, and again, it creates all this worry and fear from a generational aspect, from the generational point of view. And I think, again, looking at the Reiki precepts, going back to the fourth, doing your work honestly, or living your life with authenticity, living your truth, that is what is important. Because when you start living your truth and living the way you want to actually live your life and be in that way of being, that is when everything starts to change. Because your very mindset, your very thought process, every emotion, it all starts to change. It all starts to shift. You start not to care about what other people think, and it could be generational. It could be friends. It could be, close people that think, well, he's gone a bit like off the rails, or he's gone a little bit gaga, or he's into this now. He's doing all that, But we've got to just let go. We just got to let go of the identity and the labels that we have to live a certain way. We have to live life like this, or we have to live in this pin box. How restricting is that, by actually keeping ourselves in a box? And how much fear and worry and anger that can create by being so restricted. Big box, little box, that. But we can become so restricted by being in that small space and not being able to just go and see beyond that, and see a life beyond that. Because the generational thing as well It only fits you into that. It doesn't allow you to go beyond that. It doesn't allow you to spread your wings. You can only live your paradigm, your life, your dimension in that box. It won't let you go any further, because what will they think? What will they say? Who gives a shit? Basically. Um, yeah, absolutely, Yvonne. Little girls should be seen and not heard. To open up and use our voice. That's another big aspect of the awakening process that you'll probably see. You'll see a little bit of this on my channel, actually, from very early on videos. When you look at my early videos, I used to do a lot of used to do a lot of that, a lot of coughing. That was throat chakra issues. That was um, kind of battling with authenticity, battling with myself, with a little bit of confidence, a little bit of what will people think if they see me, and I naively I thought, oh, if I put my first video out there, millions of people are going to see me. They've probably got like about 60 views or whatever over the last 4 years. But naively we think that, oh well, what will people think? But then after a while, you become more comfortable in your own skin. You become more true to yourself. You become more true to your own way of being. And that comes from expression. It comes from opening the throat chakra. It comes from being able to speak your truth and being open to it, and being open to other people's truths and other people's opinions. And I think that's the other thing that is very damaging in the world currently is opinions. Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's a keyboard warrior, and everyone's got something to say. But nobody dares actually say anything. And those that do say something create tension. They create hostility between people. How dare you say that? I'm offended, and all this sort of stuff. But I think there's a point where there has to come a line. There has to come a point where you just got to say, well, that's your opinion and that's mine, and let's just be friends. Let's just get over that. Let's get over the point that we both differ in beliefs. And I think the whole COVID thing, that was massive, wasn't it? With people that had different opinions about what was really going on. With regards to all the vaccinations and the shutting businesses down and shutting the world down. There was a lot more that was going on behind the scenes, but if anyone dared say anything about it, they were labeled, and people lost friends, people lost jobs, people lost family, people lost those connections because they had an opinion, they had a voice. And again, if we look at the scale of consciousness, when we look at the throat chakra, we look at the blue. We're talking about connection and communication. We're talking about openness. We're talking about spaciousness, because the breath is spaciousness. The breath is, you can just let this stuff out. You can let it go without restraint, without feeling blocked, without feeling backed up with all this information. Just letting it out and being open to what other people think. And I had a lot of disagreements with people over the years, and I'm sure many of you did. And on some level, people still continue to disagree and still continue to keep going along with the rhetoric. But there are many people that now are actually starting to see between the lines, and are a lot more open to question things now, rather than just jumping headfirst into the bucket and saying, okay, yeah, let's go with that. A lot of people are starting to question things because it's opened people's mind to a lot more truth. And when people started to open up and expand and become more aware, that had a direct effect on the planet, on the globe, on the universe. And that's why people were like becoming more aware, becoming more open, because you directly can have the largest impact on anyone, on the world, on the universe, you indirectly, with your journey and your healing, with your discovery of that great, great bright light that we talk about in Reiki, with the discovery of your energy, of how powerful you really are, the power of the mind. When we go into things like quantum healing and the quantum, and working on that level, working in the realms of spirituality and working beyond the realms of the three-dimensional reality that we're living in. When we start doing that, we're really starting a higher way of being. So I'm gonna head off because my connection's going a little bit weak and a little bit poor. But I've been talking for an hour. I just wanted to come on really to do some book recommendations, to share what I've been up to over the last few days. There is some more videos in the pipeline. I think there's about 7 videos in the pipeline. The one that's just gone out is a sleep meditation. It went out on Friday. So do head over and check that one out if you have trouble sleeping. And it'll really, really help to calm you down and allow you to go into this place of relaxation in the mind to get a really, really good deep night's sleep. If you want to help the channel, you can always give me a super thanks, or you can join the membership, where then you'll get early access to those videos that are backed up, waiting to go out, or simply subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and again, that helps tremendously for this channel, and that is totally free. So I hope you've enjoyed this chat. I hope you've enjoyed this discussion about Reiki, the various books, some questions that have been answered that have come up recently as well. And I will see you in another video very soon. But do take care. Much love and bye for now.